As a creative player, one of the most annoying things for me is when my striker is not making the right kind of runs. If you're an attacking player, I'm going to go through a couple things that you can do in game to make sure that you can help the teammates around you by allowing yourself to find space and allow them to give you the ball and get into a good area to get a shot off. First one is something that I like to call decoy runs, and this is a kind of run that is very unselfish. If the midfielder has the ball and he has two options to pass to, either you as a main striker or another player in the attack. The other player in the attack may be in a better position than you. So sometimes it might be beneficial for you to make an unselfish run to drag one of the defenders away such that it will make this pass to the other attacker more easy. So imagine that the player with the ball and the two attackers are all in a straight line. The attacker who is in between the two players can make a random run to the side simply to open up space for this other attacker to receive the ball. In my last game, I was playing on the right hand side and I had cut inside. And my striker and my left winger were all in a straight line. And my left winger was making a very, very good run. But my striker was stuck in the way. And ideally, this striker should have moved out the way and dragged one of the other midfield players away from me, such that I could get this pass to my left winger more easily. But instead, he ran directly in the line between me and my left winger. And once I put my head down to make that pass, I had assumed that he'd moved away. But as I made the pass, it actually hit my other striker and we lost the ball. Now, another thing that you should avoid as a striker is running into blind alleys. Let's say you are receiving the ball and maybe you're in on a counter attack. For a lot of people, the number one thing that they're thinking in their head is, I need to go forward. And what they'll do is they'll see a bunch of players ahead of them, they don't know what to do, they'll just knock it and try and run. And they end up getting either outpaced or outmuscled or just kicking it straight into the defense. Sometimes the best option for you as a striker is not to go forward, but to actually hold up the play, wait for more teammates to arrive and accompany you, or even to just drop the ball in deeper and play it sideways, such that you can retain possession. It's very, very easy when you're playing football to just think about going forward every single time. And as a striker, you're more often than not the furthest player up the pitch. So if you can see that you are going to struggle to get beyond your defense, you must make sure that you do not try and knock the ball down a blind alley and just run through there. You have to learn when to try and get beyond your defense and when to also hold up the play and lay it off for another player. It's often the case that teams are too direct in their play and end up losing the ball too often, and you end up just getting a basketball game from one team attacking than the other team. Now, when you're in the penalty area, it's also a good idea to mix up the runs that you make as a team. Let's say you have 2 or 3 players in the penalty box and you're waiting for a delivery from the wide, and this could either be a cross or a cutback. One of the worst things that you can do as a team is to all do the same thing. More often than not, what you always see is the 2 players or the 3 players in the box will try and push as far forward to the goal as possible. Sometimes that's not always the best option. You need to vary the runs you make. So ideally, 1 or 2 of the players would go forward and get closer towards the goal, and one of the other players would maybe drop deeper and sit towards the penalty spot area or even the edge of the box, waiting for a cutback in that area. That's because more often than not, the space between the penalty spot and the edge of the area is where defenders and typically holding midfielders may not pick you up. It's very easy to get a cutback in that area and get a shot off because you are more likely to be unmarked. But again, if every single player tries to wait for that cutback around the penalty spot or the edge of the box area, the defenders will easily be able to read that and intercept it. As an attacking unit, you need to be able to vary the kinds of runs you are making. These are just a couple things that I've witnessed from one of the last few games that I've played in. So as an attacking player, if you can avoid some of the things I've said to, and if you can implement some of the things I've advised, it will end up being much more useful for your team.